We didn't have it. No, we didn't. We didn't have it wrong. The only thing that is an important distinction is from what we heard the first time to now is Babcock, according to Babcock, offered to rectify it. Right? I don't think he's a liar. I will say that. I think he's insufferable. I don't think he's a liar. So we offered to rectify it. But, like, can you undo that? The problem was that Marner was now under this pressure with the veterans of the team. Right? This was always the problem. The other thing this ignores, it ignores two very important things. You guys remember the epic show that we had with CJ after the Leafs lost to Boston in 2019?
Nice.
Who wanted Babcock fired right then and there?
Steve.
Me. Why? Because he was a mean guy who made Mitch Marner write a list? No. None of us knew anything about that. It was because he was not the right coach for that team. Babcock wasn't fired because of the stupid list. He wasn't. He wasn't fired because of the stupid list. The other thing is the Mitch Marner list thing strikes me as I think it's been identified as a soft target because not everyone's on board with it. Not everyone is on board with the idea that it is bad, even. You know, I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just saying a lot of people, it's not that bad what he did. Johan Franzen. Go look up Chris Chelios talking about what that friggin' guy did to Johan Franzen. Better yet, look up what Johan Franzen said Mike Babcock did to Johan Franzen. The Modano thing, tip of the iceberg, and I've heard so many stories that, and like, Steve, tell him, I can't do that to the people who told me. But I've heard so many stories, it's not just that. And it's not even that they're the worst thing in the world, it's that it's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, we've been hearing stories for a while. So...
You ever stub your toe once? You ever stub your toe 50 times consecutively?
All-time grit.
You know what I mean? One toe stub, in a nutshell, is fine.
Let's keep going, Jess.
Further back your time in Detroit, because again, then things come out, right? And Johan Franzen. So he was quoted in a Swedish newspaper saying, Mike Babcock, great coach,
cool.
but terrible person, a bully.
Blades,
When
nice.
you think back to some of the tactics you used with him, do you think you went too far?
I thought we had a really good relationship. Now, did things not go as good at times? Absolutely. Did I ever, in my mind, try to bully anybody? That is the craziest thing I ever heard of. Now, I also, though, didn't even know what mental health was. So anytime someone, whether they work for you, whether you're in a relationship with, feels that, you're wrong. You never want to cross the line. And when you do, you want to own it. And if you do, you should own it. But if you didn't, you shouldn't own that either.
Did you reach out to Franzen then after hearing? Okay, so you've apologized,
No, I reached out to him. He didn't get back. In saying
I
that,
wonder why.
I've coached 34 years. Let's go 20 guys. Let's do the math. Lots of players. I've coached Olympic teams. I've changed goals. I've coached veteran teams in the Stanley Cup final and scratch guys. You've made people mad. That's reality. You know, I've coached a lot of teams and had a lot of success, and good people have hired me. I didn't have a Zoom meeting with Brian Murray before I went to Anaheim. I went to Detroit. Jimmy Neal was my GM at the 04 World Championship. They hired me. Steve Eisenman.
Oh, Spitfires jersey.
And worked with me 4 years, and he hired me for 2 Olympics. Brendan Shannon hired me after he played for me. Some of this, the smell test doesn't add up.
So you dispute some of the things that have come out about
You didn't answer her question.
Yes, but I also...
Did you go too far? That was the question.
I don't know how you guys did edit this stuff. I've tried my very best to treat people right. I still do. You can't have the family I have and the opportunities I've had without treating people good. Have I crossed the line ever? Absolutely. In saying that, when you get into mental health, that's what
We crossed the line with Johan.
no one ever should be in that situation. So when you cross the line, you have to own that.
when you think back at your time
All right, hold
in
up.
Toronto, how do you look at it?
All right, so he did sort of. He said he went too far with Franzen, but he said the excuse was, and it is an excuse.
Oh, John Tavares.
And it's not unfair because we've all been guilty of this as well. The conversation about mental health was much different back then than it is now.
Oh yeah.
Eric?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's definitely fair to say.
So I can if I am listening to this as trying to be as objective as possible. First off, I cannot stand when people talk about themselves in the third person.
Oh my god, when he says the Babcock.
Martyr played well, great from Mike Babcock.
Oh.
I mean, he's not the only person I've ever heard do it, but it's
No,
annoying.
it's the ultimate sign to me of ego. It is. I'm sorry, it's just annoying. It's a pet peeve of mine.
Far enough back in my head, you know?
Yeah. So I'm trying to be fair to him on that, and he said, so when you do that, you own it or whatever. And he says he reached out to
Steen,
Franzen,
nice.
and Franzen said Franzen didn't reach out back, and but he also
Nice.
said, yeah, I've been a coach for years, and people are gonna be mad at me. And yes, so all of those things are true. I think the real issue here is he has a problem with people saying, well, maybe he's just not the best guy. And the one thing that, and maybe there's a big secret cabal of hockey players that I don't hear this said about every coach.
Nice.
Bad guy. Bad
I
guy.
don't hear this said about every coach. And here's the thing too, like, and I hate to put it in these terms, but it's easy to be a bad boss and a good person to your family. Both are possible. So so listen, and I think if you look at the way that Steve Yzerman and Brendan Shanahan would have been
Nice.
treated under Mike Babcock, you can understand why maybe, yeah, they were stars. They were the best players on that team in Detroit. They were amazing, amazing hockey players. Bab's pretty good to the Stars, except for the fact that he, limited Henrik Zetterberg's time and Austin Matthews' time and all that sort of thing. I think, and even Henrik Zetterberg didn't have great things to say about him when he left. He said, I think it was probably time. You remember that interview?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And people have, oh, I didn't like Ken Hitchcock, or I didn't like, Mike Keenan. They never said this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also Shanahan's time in Detroit ended after the 2005-2006 season. So all this Franzen stuff, he would have no idea.
Right.
He did play for him for quite a long time, but he wouldn't have known about any of that.
So anyway, I just feel like that is the equation with family versus how you are at work. I've had horrendous bosses. I've had great bosses. One thing that's ubiquitous is that normally they're good to their families, or at least in their own way, good to their families. I'm not saying that Mike is a bad father. No one suggested that.
No.
And no one has suggested that he is an evil guy. But the tactics he used were so aggressive sometimes. Like, remember when Mark Frazier came out and tweeted about him when he was fired? And I remember going on the show and being like, Mark Frazier, you played for him for like 3 seconds. Like, what are you talking about? It was like a preseason game or something. Why is there? And I said at the time, why is there this pile on Mike Babcock? And then the Marner story comes out, and then the front and all the other stories start coming out.
Well, it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird at the time because we didn't know. But
Nice.
I think it's unfair of Mike to say, I wouldn't get these great opportunities if I wasn't a good guy. There are plenty of shitty people who get amazing opportunities. Incredible. Donald Trump was the fucking president, man. Like, that's a pretty good opportunity for one of the world's
And
shitty
here's the
people.
last one.
It's crazy. So I don't, and then don't tell me that you're because
Oh,
you're
I got a
good to
cover
your family,
athlete
that
player.
you're good to your players. And I think everybody knows.
What?
Everybody knows. And after 30 years of
It-
coaching, Mike, you know you screwed Mitch. So if that story is what you say it is, then you should not have gone up to Mitch Marner and said, I screwed you, should I address this? You just address it.
So, Adam,
Mike Babcock.
Come on. It's not even a choice. Connor McDavid, right? Like,
But if you're so good,
He says in there that he did the wrong thing by not talking to Mitch, you know?
and
Yeah.
and that's fair. He goes out, he talks to Mitch.
But, like-
spread of the team. Mitch apparently was
I have.
by the way.
Wow. Well, I guess yeah, I have to pick Connor McDavid. Like, I have to. Like, I want to pick Alex Ovechkin pretty bad,
By the way, if you're the highest paid coach in
but like
hockey in the
Connor
world,
McDavid.
which is Mike is, then you need to know in that I'm hoping that by paying you $5.5 million or whatever they paid him, that you know in that situation that you don't go up to the 18-year-old and say, hey, what do you think I should do? You just fucking do it, Mike.
Here, so this is from Mark Fraser, who was just
Connor
hired by the Leafs.
McDavid, yeah, boy.
Anyone who thinks Commie22, so that's Mike Commodore, anyone who thinks Mike Commodore needs to lay off Babs just doesn't understand how much hate players have for him. It's beyond scratching Commodore or saying he was out